or having the skills that would be necessary for career readiness. And so those are the main things that we are trying to emphasize or work on for the Shady Grove campus. And yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Enjoy. Since you mentioned that event on systemic racism, I can certainly see how that would tie into the work that DEI is doing. So if
Hmm.
you have any more information you can share about that, could you please send that our way?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. Salisbury, I think in your report you talked about creation and implementation of diversity training, more DEI. We'd love to hear more about that and what you're doing. An anti-racism summit as well. And then you're working on transportation access for off-campus students.
Yes, definitely. Well, this past Friday, our Student Affairs Office, along with the uh, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, hosted our first annual Anti-Racism Summit. We had several speakers and student testimonials, as well as speakers from faculty that gave a lot of amazing information on strategies for anti-racism and why anti-racism, rather than just doing nothing and not being racist, is important, and especially in the workplace, but most importantly in our educational system and in a college and university setting. So that's an amazing thing that we're doing at SU and are going to be doing in the future as well. I'm going to pull up the link and then drop it in the chat because it was recorded. You can go back and look at it if you have time, as well as the different resources. Dr. White, our president, he started a 21-day anti-racism challenge as well, which is just every day engaging in anti-racism uh, material and activities to get you in the habit of doing those things and understanding why they're important. The training that had mentioned in our report, uh, our chief diversity officer, Joan Williams, she developed, well, we acquired a training from Everfi. It's diversity and inclusion training, along with some sensitivity training as well. It's going out through our entire campus, um, and we're trying to get it institutionalized. It's definitely required for faculty and staff, but on the student side, I don't think it's at a requirement level or a mandatory level just yet, but we're definitely in the SGA. We're trying to push for that because it is important that we all have these skills and this knowledge to work smoothly in the workplace and understand different cultures and understand different people, so that we can interact in a civil and amazing way. But that I believe it's due for students on the 15th of March. So we definitely have time to promote and support that training. And then for those students who are coming on our campus in the future, we definitely have time to make sure that they're impacted by that, and can benefit from those trainings. And uh, with the onset of COVID, it seems like some students are experiencing some problems with transportation. We have shore transit here on the Eastern Shore, which is a bus line system that a lot of students, a lot of off-campus students use to make it to campus. And I think that with less people being on campus, less people coming and going from campus, that Shoreline may have lowered their hours. So that's something we have to work with the city, because it's not run through our university. It's I believe it's a partnership with the city, and I think it's a contract. But we definitely have to reach out to them to see what we can do to make that, make those bus hours and times more available for students in different parts, and who go to campus at different times as well, because um, it's definitely a equity thing and then a safety thing as well. People can't get to where they need to go to learn, to work, to do other things that we definitely have to do something about that to make sure we're representing everybody here on our campus and in our campus community. So we're definitely doing good things over here.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So just two other just quick highlights for the two other reports that came in. UMC's, I think you all are organizing professional development workshops. which sounds really cool. And then UB, there's a constitution being rewritten, alley work, as well as a starter work group committee. So anything to elaborate on there before we jump into our breakout sessions really quickly?
For UB, we're doing a contest for Inclusion Alley to get the students' input on the design that we want to do. Because right now it's just the rainbow flag in the alley, so we want to add more to the alley. So we're asking the students for their input. We're going to have a surprise date coming real soon for our Calm and Grammarly apps that we're releasing to the students. And that's about it.
And for MCs, I'll just quickly elaborate. So we're having some specific professional development workshops. We had one about budget management and grant writing, just some workshops that are more specific to, I guess, aspiring scientists within MCs.
Awesome. All right, thank you all. Laura, we'll kick it back over to you, and I think our poll is complete.
It is, but real quick, we forgot to talk about the SMVEA bill. So Arslan, if you want to give us a quick update on that, and then we'll move to the poll and the breakout rooms.
Yes, I'll give a quick update on the Student Military and Voter Empowerment Bill. This is the bill that we've been working on for quite some time. Just as a reminder, this is the bill that initially was giving students a maximum of 2 hours of excused absence to vote on election day. Now, a lot of you guys had mentioned that 2 hours is not enough, and that we would like to push for the whole day. And we have been doing that both on the House and on the Senate side as well. On the House, we have reached a pretty good spot. So we had pushed for an amendment to make election day the whole day off on the House side. But it does seem that they have come to a compromise where the students will not get the whole day off, but will get excused absence in between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. So students will get unlimited time to vote, and it will be excused. So that's where the amendment sits in the House. We are also trying to push for an amendment on the Senate side. We have quite a few meetings this coming week with a few senators. One senator has agreed to push for an amendment as well on the Senate side. So we're still working on that, but things are looking pretty decent.
Thank you.
Laura?
Thank you. So if you guys have any more questions about the bills, make sure you reach out to Arslan and Yvonne, because they are a wealth of information. They are like the experts on that right now. Okay, so our poll, unless anybody has anything else. Okay, our poll, sharing results right now. It was pretty close. You guys are interested in everything. And the top two are going to be COVID and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we'll keep COVID in the main room. And if you are interested in discussing diversity, equity, inclusion, that'll be in the breakout room. Let's see. I don't breakout rooms. Oh wait, oh no, my bad. It's set up so that COVID is the breakout room. So see how we're gonna do this. Can I add? You guys have the option to join the breakout room at your bottom menu bar. So if you're interested in discussing COVID.
So Laura, so for the breakout room, is it for COVID?
Yes, it's for COVID. I misspoke. Yeah, I misspoke. Okay. So I think, yeah. And if you guys have I do think it's like, if you don't see it, it might be that it's not on the, you don't have the updated version. Cause I think on the updated version, you should have like a little breakout rooms thing at the bottom. And if you click it, you can join the breakout room yourself.
Some people are moving over, and if you're left,
it's working.
Then we'll check to see if you just don't have the update. And if you want to go to COVID, we can send you. But if you want to go, please leave now. Some said it's at the top right corner.
Thank you, LaShawn.
And if you want to stay, then great.
Laura, this is Javon. I'm clicking on the breakout room. However, it just shows me who's in there. It doesn't allow me to go in. Could you send me over?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I can figure out how to do that.
If someone else wants to go, let us know. Speak up or put your name in the chat if you want to go to COVID.
Yvonne does. I don't know how to add her.
There's no join button when you like click on the breakout room at the top right. It should say join on the COVID.
No, it just has a red dot and a green dot.
Oh, put your cursor over the number. Do you see the number on the right-hand side of the little?
I do.
I just moved Yvonne over.
Bernetta, do you want to stay here? I'll go to COVID.
Yeah, if that's possible. I don't know how it's set up on the back end with you.
No, I have the little join button. So bye.
Okay. All right, we'll see you soon.
So everyone here should be wanting to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is that correct? Thank you, David, and Liberty, and David. And I'm assuming everyone else, and LaShawna. Thank y'all. Okay.
All right, y'all. So I don't know all your schools by heart. Just shut up and trying to keep up with Annie on that. But we have a packed house today. So the idea, let's just go around like we normally do in the other sort of sessions and see, do you all have updates or anything specifically happening at your institutions that you want to share or talk about?
Are other people allowed in these breakout rooms? I have a friend who is working on me with the update, but I don't know if these are specific to only representatives, these breakout rooms.
When you say a friend, you're just referencing a student, and is the issue that you're not sure if you can share the information or you're not sure?
Like have them join this meeting to help me with the update.
Oh, that's an interesting question. If they're, I don't know if they're physically with you, but the meeting itself is allotted for the representatives.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Okay. But you can still share if you have information to share.
I'd like to share if I could.
Sure.
So I'm Liberty Deffenbaugh from Bowie State University. The president of the Graduate Student Association and I have been doing a lot of initiatives to kind of, broadcast Black History Month, things like that, especially as an HBCU. We worked on an MLK Day virtual parade that was done through DC. So we got a lot of national visibility. We were definitely able to kind of bring a large parade that's normally in person, something that the community really looks forward to every year, into a setting where it was more accessible safely and distanced. So we had some particular challenges in getting that material together. But if anybody would like the link to view it, let me know. I think it went pretty well, and I was really excited to be part of the creative team on that. But moving forward, various organizations at Bowie, especially during February, really have a large push for diversity training and education. We have the Student Learning Society is putting on a monthly series, and this month we are having African-centered psychology as the focus. So if anybody has other ideas that they're using at their university, please don't mind if I take that back to mine and try to find new and creative ways to better all of our organizations.
Thank you, Liberty. That's a really great point. Just kind of how do we angle this and figure out what issues we want to address. So it's always great hearing about, the events and activities that are already underway and how we can share that information and learn from it or adopt it elsewhere. But then also just more specifically, what do we see as sort of the current issues and the current needs around diversity and equity and inclusion. What do you all think is sort of the struggles right now, or what are you hearing anything from students on this topic?
If I can go, I'm Tiffany Flowers from the universities at Shady Grove, and our campus is really unique because we have 9 different universities at one campus, but a lot of times we feel disconnected from our home campus when we have certain issues. So one of the issues I would say right now is for non-traditional students with COVID. I know me personally, I am a mom of 2 kids and my kids are learning virtually right now at home. And a lot of the professors are just not really practicing that equity piece for the non-traditional students. But when I've reached out to like my home campus to get support, I'm not really getting that support with these issues. You know, a lot of times people think like diversity is just like, you know, with minorities, which I am also a minority, but we also suffer like with non-traditional age students. We don't have the support at times. And I think that that's been an issue right now, especially during COVID, because more than ever, you're seeing that lack of equity. And then also too, my husband, he's in the United States Army and he got orders to go to Korea in September. So not only am I, you know, a mom, but I'm also a military spouse. And a lot of people are not support of military families. They are not familiar with our lifestyle. They don't support it. They're kind of like, oh, well, we can't help you. And I'm doing this year all on my own. I graduate in May. And I don't have the support from anybody, whether it's I'm raising my kids during a pandemic and my husband is on orders, which are all things out of my control, but then yet there's no support for me.
Wow, really great points, Tiffany, on so many fronts there that you touched on. Any other areas of concern before we start talking about sort of maybe some solutions or ideas?
Can I ask Tiffany one question? Let me put on my camera. One question, or to anyone else who's experiencing some of the same things. Give me a couple of points as to what that support would look like. Just help me understand.
Yes, no problem. I've been in the process of documenting everything. I've been trying to meet with deans and just no support. But like say, for example, I just started school a couple of weeks ago. We got our syllabus on Tuesday, and I was expected to complete a project. We had group projects and they said that the groups was random, but I ended up having to be the first presenter. And so I got the assignment on Tuesday and the project was due Thursday at 9:00 a.m. It was a 100-point project and I had to present for an hour. And I tried to ask if maybe I could switch with somebody because that was a lot for me. I have kids and that was an issue. And then another assignment that we had, I had to write a 25-page paper and I only had like a week to do it. And that wasn't the issue. We had to interview a parent with a special needs child because I'm an education major. And I couldn't find a parent and they were like, well, we can't help you. The paper's still due on Thursday regardless. So it's just like understanding my situation. They feel like if I'm going to be in college, then I can't have any other excuse as to why I cannot complete something. And I try to remind them that we are in a pandemic and my circumstances are different. I didn't ask for my husband to be deployed, but he is. And I just don't feel like I'm getting any support when it comes to the academics. I am not a pass fail. I do get a letter grade. And they just don't want to be understanding to my circumstances.
Thank you. Daniel's hand is up too.
Hi, everyone. So maybe something that could work as a solution. So in our school, we advocated a lot for pass and fail, and that didn't really succeed. But something that succeeded was really communicating what students are experiencing and how COVID is impacting everybody different. Some professors have implemented a new system of grading, which is called student learning outcomes. And it grades students a little bit differently, not on a scale of 1 to 100 or not from like a 1 to 100, but it has a different grading scale. Maybe if professors could be open to adopting those kind of grading skills could help, because the professors are more open to allowing students to resubmit papers through this grading scale and kind of work for the grade that best would fit them at a time that would best fit them. And the deadlines are also more flexible for the submission of the assignment. So I think maybe that could be something that helps, because I've seen it happen at University of Baltimore, and I can see something like that happen at other schools that can help students who are experiencing issues like that.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think I would just have to come up with like a plan of action because, I don't have a lot of support with like the program director and my professors. And I've tried to meet with the dean. I met once already, but I haven't seen a lot of change. So I don't know kind of like where to go. My next step is I reached out to the diversity and inclusion office at Towson University, and I'm trying to schedule a meeting with them. So yeah, it's just that process because it always sounds nice, but then when the other party is not budging, then I think that's where the problems come because I can't change their thought process.
Have you considered talking to the Title IX coordinator to see if you could get special exceptions for, longer deadlines on your papers, things like that?
No, I have not. I might have to look into who that person is at Towson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I
Who
have
else has something to share?
I have an update from UMB regarding the no contact orders that we had kind of talked about last month. I did meet with the Title IX office, and I also talked with my dean at the School of Medicine, and pretty much ran into a wall. The Title IX office says that they're limited by, I guess, existing legislature from like above, which is a little frustrating for me. And I am overall frustrated with the whole situation. The people that I had talked to, it kind of felt like, they were limited by legislature, which I understand, but we're not willing to challenge that in any way, or, it seemed like a policy that they weren't a fan of. I guess, but there was no attempt to even say like, oh, like this is a problem, maybe we can do something about it, which is kind of the way that I approach policy that I don't really like. And I talked with my dean as well at the School of Medicine, and she wasn't aware of any, you know, ways to have no contact orders be from the school, not through the Title IX office. They're limited by things being actually considered Title IX. So instances of like, say, bullying would not be able to be covered by the Title IX office because it's not under any sort of discrimination, like gender discrimination. So something like that wouldn't warrant a no contact order. And they pretty much would just constantly say they take things on a case by case basis as far as giving no contact orders. And I gave them instances and examples, and they said yes, that this person should probably get a no contact order. And I said, okay, this is a real case that came to you and they did not get a no contact order. So kind of like, what's the disconnect and what's happening? And I really didn't get an answer on that. So me and another friend are thinking of potentially of talking to some people in the School of Law, and maybe contacting a representative to see like what is the legislature, and with a new administration, can things be changed from above? At the same time, I would like to see if I could hear from other people if they're aware of the no contact orders at other schools, and how kind of Title IX handles different cases, and if there are any examples that either successes or problems that they know of within their student population. Yeah.
So at Bowie, and I don't want to speak to a previous institution, but I did my undergraduate at UMBC, and thankfully the response to both of those is the same, where the aggressor is asked, if there's a no contact order, the aggressor is asked to withdraw from all classes that interfere, that are, they can't register for the same classes as the person that they've abused or they have a no contact order with. A lot of it is done through the counseling center. So that might be the avenue that you want to start looking through, is if you get the counseling center to sign off on it, and then you can kind of take it step up through the administration through that. I'm not sure how UMB works, but.
Yeah, so I even talked with the UMB Title IX office, and I said, like, what if I find something at another institution that works?
Sure.
And it works at Bowie, so it obviously must be allowed through the Title IX legislature, through the laws that are put in place by the government. And they said, no, I don't think that we would be interested in doing something like that because something that works at another school might not work here. And I kind of countered with a, why not? Because if it, you know, like what is stopping you from at least considering something that, you know, works at another institution? And they said something along the lines of, oh, like an undergrad might not be the same as our school, which is majority grad students. And I wasn't a huge fan of that answer, honestly. If you can probably tell, I was pretty not happy with most of the answers that I got, but they were, you know, I think that they would be reluctant anyway, since they were reluctant with that idea beforehand. But I'm thank you so much for letting me know that that's something that is done.
Yeah, they pair with public safety.
Yeah, and
so it's a public safety issue. So.
Yeah, and the problem with this being that students aren't getting access to no contact order period, and so you know these students wouldn't have that protection.
So Nikki, I'm just going to suggest that that maybe you could follow up with us with maybe, you know, me or Annie or Laura after today's meeting, and then we can maybe look to see where we could route the concern.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for update. But it is helpful for me to know if anyone has any other updates that their schools have done, or like please let me know. I'll put my email in the chat because I want to know what other schools are doing.
So to that point, we have about 6 minutes left before we have to merge back in with the group. Just kind of circling back to what do you all think are some effective ways to find out, you know, what students are experiencing along the lines of diversity and equity and inclusion? We had one really good example from Tiffany, which wasn't just about diversity and minorities per se, but so, you know, this can go in a lot of different directions. We are going to follow up and ask for some POCs from your student clubs and organizations to invite them to our next DEI meeting, which is on February 19th, I want to say. It's the third Friday in the month. But just to kind of get you thinking as you prepare to do that sort of outreach, what do you think is going to be the most effective way to do that and to find out what's happening?
Bernard, I can just highlight a little bit about what we're trying at UMB. So this year we created a subcommittee under USJ called the Equity Committee. That's going to be different. Any student can be a part of it. And the goal was to bring students to bring forward issues of diversity, equity, and or lack thereof within the school. So students can come to USGA. We are figuring a little bit about how we can direct these efforts and make sure that this is something that's sustainable. It's not something that, you know, the next USGA e-board will, you know, not have it on the priority. So we're actually creating within the student government a position for a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer who's going to be heading this committee. And it's going to be anybody across the school could apply for this position. And this student will be a student government executive level position and will be working very closely with our new vice president, who's also the new chief diversity and equity and inclusion officer. We just finished the search last week, and the candidate, the finalist, whoever the new person is going to be announced in a few weeks. So the student is going to work very closely with that office, as also with all the existing resources on campus, be it our Diversity Advisory Council and our Intercultural Center. This is one way I think you're approaching it, is actually having an organization within the university and a student officer who student can go to and talk about the issues I'm facing. And then the goal of the equity committee and our new USJ level position will be to follow up and see what are the best ways that administration and the students can work together to resolve these issues. So that's something we're trying. Hopefully within the next few months or by next semester, we'll have some more ideas about how this will follow through. But I think one of the main things we have faced at UMB is students have a lot of opinions and would have have really good suggestions, but either they're not being heard or they don't know whom to go to. So we at UMB are trying to have a student officer who will be like, okay, this is the person you go to, this is the committee you can work with, and then they will work through with the administration and with the students also. It'll be a collective effort, and we'll see how that works. So that's something we are trying, and we hope we'll receive some good feedback, and we hope it's going to be successful next semester.
That sounds awesome, Niv. Dan, I see your hand is up.
I have a quick question. So I'm really happy that you have such a good success at university because you have a chief diversity officer and you have these additional positions and resources available for this. So at our school, we are currently trying to advocate for the university to bring a chief diversity officer or a vice president of diversity, equity, inclusion. And a lot of the things that we hear is that we do not have resources, that the university already does not have money. And I don't know what advice maybe anybody has for navigating such things, because it seems like when it comes to that issue, our university just does not have the money to allocate. So I don't know how we can kind of work on addressing that, because I think even though we do not have the money, we still have issues that need to be addressed and that otherwise are going unnoticed. And I think having that person would be very helpful. But then when we don't have the resources, then does that mean somebody else has to be cut out? Does that mean somebody else has to be kicked out of their job for somebody else to step in? It's just so hard to understand how we can effectively advocate for this.
So just to be completely transparent about the new USGA position, that's something we're just instituting. So we're not appointed somebody currently. That's somebody who will be appointed in May, because we're just trying to get the Senate to approve it. But regarding the university level position, I think that's something which I can't talk much about the money thing, but that's something your university needs to take the initiative on. And I'm sure if there's somebody at the USM office who they can talk to about these issues. But at UMB, the way it came about is recently appointed President Gerald said this is something that UMB cares a lot about. And that's how the search process began. It's something that we at UMB have been asking for many years. And I think the school thought that this is the right time, that it's better late than never, and this is the time to institute this change. So I think that's something you'll need to work with the administration, or just your shared governance needs to work with the university to figure out what's the best way to approach this, because I'm not sure what the best answer for that is, but I think it should be coming from not just students, but faculty and staff as well. You'll need to talk with the administration and say, this is something we care about, and this is something that we stand for. And I think Randy has raised his hand.
Yeah. So just to give a little bit more to what Dan has said at UB, we had a chief diversity officer. I think that was the position they had.
No, we had a diversity center.
Diversity center. The person
director.
The director. The person retired, and the university chose not to refill the position because they, as Dan said, they used the language, we don't have the money.
Yes,
so the
and
position was there.
The center got downsized, and international student services and diversity got combined together. And Randy, you can continue. I just wanted to add that for context because I thought it was important.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so that's basically what I was going to say. So it's not that we're just trying to engage the university on why they chose not to refill the position when the position was there already. They just chose to cut the position altogether.
Randy, and then I have a question. Do you all have somebody at the student government level who's involved, like has a position on chief diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So what the university did was they, instead of refilling the position, they broke the responsibilities up into a number of people within the university. So, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I think my question is at the student government level. You said that this is an administration level thing where they chose to break up the different offices, the position into different people.
Yes.
All right. And on student government level, do you all have any student government? So this is UB's SGA. Do you all have somebody at the student level who's involved in these initiatives?
So, currently I'm on one of the diversity committees for student government. And that's only because, the USM task force committees that we have at the university. So I guess we're trying different ways. So that's
I think what we can do, Dan, Randy, we can talk just in the interest of time outside this. I'll share some resources that UMB had before we appointed these. We are creating this new position. We had several other councils and campus-wide organizations that were involved in DNG. So I could share those resources with you just to show about what we went about before this. And then maybe we can talk separately about the UMB and what UB could also do, just in the interest of time. I'll send you both an email after this.
And I think maybe Bernetta for your list, because what that whole conversation is staffing. So if there is a conversation to be had about, because everyone does not have a chief diversity officer. So everybody is not in the same, there are other people in the position that UB is in, even though I understand their concern is something was taken away and not replaced. I understand that, but schools function and sometimes well. So we want to figure out what it is to function well if you don't have a chief diversity officer. So some best practices, what's happening around the nation. NIV is going to connect, that's great. But I think just a little bit of exploration maybe, or someone to talk about, and I'm sure where we're going with our list, what it looks like when, because a lot of presidents will say, I want diversity to be everybody's business, not just one person. So let's say that's the model that your president's going for, or say that's the model that needs to happen now that you don't have a chief diversity officer. What does that look like? So I think that can be an additional conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zakia.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, everyone.
So in COVID, we had a good discussion. Well, it's pretty much Joe just telling us about vaccines a lot, and we were able to ask a lot of questions. But it definitely, hopefully, those of us that were in there, we could take that information back to our constituents and share some of those specifics on logistics, because I know that's something that's really on the forefront of people's minds. And as students, we're kind of like, all right, we know we're on the bottom of the list, but there's still ways that you can get involved and help yourself out, help your family out, and help the fellow students out. Bernetta, did you guys have a good convo?
We did. I was just typing a few more notes. So in summary, staffing was a concern that came up in some cutbacks, whether due to funding or other decisions that we want to look at further. Staffing such as a chief diversity officer, those types of positions that may or may not exist at all of the institutions. As well as equity and consideration for students that may be experiencing hardships right now. So, we look at minorities being a group, but then there's also military students, there's also non-traditional students and parents that also need considerations. So talked about that, as well as just activities and events that are happening right now around DEI, and wanting to share more information about what different campuses are doing to support that, whether through parades or other types of town halls and events. There was a separate issue around Title IX and a concern there that we're also going to follow up with offline. So.
Awesome. So with that, is there any last if, ands, or buts from anybody? We're just about, I think we made the 3-hour mark, not a 4-hour meeting. Thanks for everybody for being concise.
Wow. Thank you, everyone.
All right, I'll hang around. I guess, Bernetta, if you'll hang around too, if anybody wants to chat about everything, but meeting is adjourned.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks,
everyone. Go Sunday. Go Buccaneers.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Go Bucks.
Bye.
Yay, we did the 3-hour thing. I'm so excited.
We can stop our